LeBron James and the Lakers got beat last night by 18 points. I think the spread was around 15. I was predicting they were going to lose by 25. But they exceeded my expectations last night, but not everyone's expectations. It's kind of weird. You know, I'm known as a huge LeBron James critic. And here in recent months and just about the entire NBA season, I had virtually nothing negative to say about LeBron James. And I don't have anything negative to say today. But I'm kind of weirded out or confused why so many people are being critical of LeBron James. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a juggernaut. They're probably going to win their second world championship here shortly or this summer. And everybody expects them to sweep or a gentleman sweep, a 4-1 sweep of the Lakers. LeBron, after the game last night, was asked about the Lakers' offense. They scored 90 points. They lost 108-90. LeBron scored 27 points, was very efficient, had a plus-minus. In an 18-point loss, LeBron James was -6. In an 18-point loss, that's not bad. He was effective against a team playing at home that's the best team in the NBA and seems to be headed to their second world championship. The criticism of LeBron after he makes this comment, I'm going to play you this comment he made about, he's asked about the offense, they only scored 90 points, and he tells the truth, but some people are using it to criticize LeBron James. Let's play the clip.
Where do you think the offensive issues are coming from right now? Obviously, that's a great defense.
Issues coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a guy that averaged 37 a game. What did he average, 35 this year? 33. 33 and a half?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you asking?
Okay, well, I'm asking, like you guys...
There's the issues right there. We're playing against the number one defensive team in the NBA, as far as the ratings and everything. And when you play against great defense, you have to have guys that can attract multiple defenders on the floor at all time. Even I felt like we had great shots. We got some great shots tonight. We missed them. But when you play against the world champions, having a guy that averages 34, 6 and 8 and 8 and 9, whatever the hell, that's special. So we have to be better at finding ways to get to the blender, finding ways to get to the paint. We know they're a paint swarming team, so we have to be better with getting to the paint, not turn the ball over, and then shooting with confidence. But I feel like we got some really good looks. But shit.
Some people think LeBron is making unnecessary excuses or bringing Luka into this to mask his own shortcomings. What shortcomings? The guy had 27 points last night, had a plus-minus, a -6, and an 18-point loss against the best team in basketball. It's like I'm being turned into a LeBron defender, and overall, I'm not a LeBron defender. But, on this, I have to defend him, and on the entirety of this season, I'll defend LeBron James. He's having a difficult transition from the best player in the NBA and a guy that can lead and drive a team to a championship to now transition into, hey, I'm 41. I can still be an effective player in the league. I can't play 40 minutes. I think he played 36 last night. I'm not going to be the central figure in driving a team to a world championship. But over time, he settled into his role as the second or third wheel on the Lakers. And I hear him now at the end like saying, look, man, our best player is out. That's what happened to our offense. Now, he could have said those exact words, but he's like, man, our offense, we got a guy that, put up 34 points, 8-9 assists, 8-9 rebounds a game, and he's not there. Come on. Y'all know what happened. We're on the road playing Oklahoma City. They got a great defense. We scored 90 points. Let's keep it moving. I bring all this up because, we have one of LeBron's most consistent, most aggressive critics. I don't know what Scap said after this game. I really don't. I didn't want to. I wanted to go into this conversation blind, but Scap, I'm ready to attack if you unfairly attack LeBron James. Am I right here? I thought LeBron did all he could. I think his answer after the game was appropriate. What are we doing here?
Jason, I'll be honest with you here. You may think, harsh words from a harsh man is what you say about me all the time,
Yes.
but I'm honest and consistent, if nothing else. Last night, for the first time in almost a decade, I watched a game that LeBron James played in and had absolutely not one critical thing to say of him. He played as well as anybody in the NBA could be expected to play against that defense in that setting, without a key player and with the players that were playing around him struggling by and large with their shot. Austin Reeves, their second best player last night, because Luke is out, obviously. He had 8 points on 3 of 16 shooting. So there's really not much more you can anticipate from anybody, even in their prime, against this defense. So for LeBron to only be a -6 in a game they lost by 18 at 41 years of age against this defense, honestly, one of the best performances I've ever seen from LeBron. So, I don't have anything negative to say about him today. In response to what you're talking about after the game, look, I'll just say this. It's just unbecoming, Jason. I don't begrudge him for saying it. It is true, but
Unbecoming? Why is it unbecoming?
Let me tell you, I know you're going to roll your head. Let me just draw the connection here. I know you hate when I bring up Nikola Jokic, but let me just draw the connection. All right, Jason, do you know the Nuggets started the year off in the first 12 games, or in the first 15 in the last 12 games, the Denver Nuggets were 24-3 in 27 games with their full roster intact. That's a 72 game pacing. Their net rating over those 27 games was similar to the 72-10 Chicago Bulls in 95-96. They go into the playoffs without Aaron Gordon, without Peyton Watson. Their best player, other than Jokic, Jamal Murray, was horrendous. Christian Brown, their $25 million shooting guard, allegedly was playing with severe calf and ankle injuries. After that loss, Nikola Jokic sat up there, and the first question he fielded was, what happened? What happened in the series? And he said, I wasn't good enough. I didn't make shots. I didn't get my teammates open. It all begins with me. That's the way you do it, Jason. I'm the one. The defenders of Nikola Jokic are the ones that are supposed to make those excuses on his behalf. I'm the one that's supposed to sprinkle those context elements into it. LeBron James is not supposed to sit up there and whine about what he doesn't have and he's just supposed to answer questions with the class and dignity that an all-time great is supposed to have.
That was not whining, Scap. That was fact.
It was an excuse.
No, it wasn't. It was an explanation. There are explanations and there are excuses. If Nikola Jokic were teammates with Steph Curry in his prime, because Luka Doncic is in his prime. I believe wasn't he the leading scorer in the league? The leading scorer in the league is out. And you're asked what happened to your offense, and you say, well, the leading scorer in the league is out. That Nikola Jokic isn't playing with the leading scorer in the league. He's playing with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray and Christian Brown and those guys. And so Nikola Jokic is the best player on that team in his prime. And so when those guys go down, it still all falls on Nikola Jokic. And so with LeBron, the team is built around Luka Doncic. He's out. And LeBron just kind of matter-of-factly says, hey, that was the problem with our offense.
Jason, is it not an excuse in and of itself? You had me on the show the day after the Nuggets lost to the Timberwolves, and you went in on Jokic. You sided with all the critics. You sided with all the critics questioning his playoff resume. But Jamal Murray is his second best player. He missed in Jokic's 6-year prime. Murray didn't play in 2 full years, 2 full playoff runs. Jamal Murray didn't even play. He was admittedly extraordinarily hampered and injured physically in 2 other of the 6 runs. So in 4 runs of the 6-year Nikola Jokic prime, his second best player was substantially hampered. You're not taking that as an excuse for Nikola Jokic's struggles and failures.
First of all, I'm not hypercritical of Nikola Jokic. I think he's great. I think he should have 4, if not 5 MVPs. I don't have a problem with Nikola Jokic, and I like the way he handled the end of his season. LeBron's in game 1. When this thing goes 4-0, let's see what he says after they go 4-0. Does he throw up Luka Doncic, or does he just, hey, I wasn't good enough, we weren't good enough, what we put out there wasn't good enough? We'll see. But after one game, I just have no problem with his comments. And if I'm looking, and there is a lot of criticism, because, again, you transition everything to a conversation about Nikola Jokic. I'm going to use this game to transition into a conversation about SGA. Terrible. With all, hard to watch, with all his flopping and trying to foul baiting and all this other stuff. This is the guy that is, the best player in the league, about to win probably his, second MVP. And all he does, or not all he does, but he does way too much foul baiting and flopping. It's hard to watch. It makes a team that should be really enjoyable to watch difficult to watch.
Yeah, Jason, look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander he should be, I guess he's going to get afforded the things that LeBron James. My big problem with LeBron isn't how he's playing at 41. It's not how he's carrying himself now in this season. I think he largely has been a class act this season, and he's played very well. I will agree with you on that. The problem is, look at the context of the remainder of his career. Look at the tactics he utilized to get his championships. Like, I think when you sprinkle those inconvenient truths into it, LeBron, you can make a case, is not top 5. But he is a collection of his resume points, as will Shai be. To get into the Shai conversation. Jason, if he wins this year.
I appreciate you getting there. Go ahead.
Yeah, if he wins this year, we're talking about back-to-back championships, back-to-back league MVPs, back-to-back final MVPs, back-to-back 60-win seasons, and 3 30-point-per-game average years. Like, we're talking about a guy that's assaulting all of a sudden already Dwayne Wade's collective resume as arguably the 3rd best shooting guard ever already, and he's 27. But with that said, if you sprinkle in the inconvenient truths of context around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he has arguably the easiest ask, the best arrangement, the easiest deal of any superstar this century outside of Kevin Durant when he joined the Warriors at 73-9. Like, all this guy has to do, Jason, every time I watch my takeaway isn't even Shai flopping. It certainly isn't Shai's excellence either, though. When I watch the Thunder, every single time I watch them for the last 2 years, my main takeaways are, my God, this defense. If you disperse these pieces individually around the league, they might have the 7 or 8 best defenders in the NBA, like the top 10 of the top 10, all NBA selective teams. There's 2 teams, 5 players each, 10 guys. If you just disperse this team out through the league, they might have 7 or 8 guys on that all NBA defensive team on one unit. And then my second takeaway is, holy crap, they also have like 4 NBA starters on their bench that all play good defense too. They're impossible. This is why last year you said I was insufferable, because I kept talking about my preseason pick for the Thunder and how they were going to be a dynasty. This is why I said that last September or whatever, that this was going to be a dynasty, because they're unbeatable. Like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night has 18 points, mediocre shooting for him, 8 of 15. He has more turnovers than assists, and they win by 18 points. Like, without their second best player, by the way, in Jalen Williams. Like, they're extraordinarily difficult to match up with. Like, you have to play 4 absolute perfect games. You can play, I watched it all last postseason with the Nuggets. The Nuggets played an A+ game for like 40 minutes, and the Thunder played a C- game, and then you lose concentration for 1 3-4 minute span, and all of a sudden it goes from 4 to 16 points and the game's over. It is so difficult to match with them. The 3rd or 4th reason why they're so great is Shai. Yet he is going to get all of the credit, because that's just what we do. We don't put context on these achievements.
Not a bad argument, Scap. You've recovered, and you've admitted that LeBron has handled this season well. I like that. Let me before I let you go, let me hop over to the Eastern Conference. The Detroit Pistons lost or beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. James Harden had like 7 turnovers for the Cavs. What I was trying to think today of what James Harden's legacy is going to be, because he doesn't make you a winner. You know, he should have been, and they should have been what OKC is now, is what they should have been when it was Durant, Harden, and Russell Westbrook. James Harden is a different kind of like George Gervin. George Gervin played for the San Antonio Spurs throughout the overwhelming majority of his career. James Harden's team jumped, but I don't think he will be nearly as respected as George Gervin. But he is this era's George Gervin, but not respected the way the Iceman was.
Yeah, I mean, James Harden, again, he's a cautionary tale of things when it goes wrong. Like James Harden, Kevin Durant, they saw LeBron hopping around because LeBron was an individual great that needed rings to really supplement his legacy. So KD tried to execute that same tactic, as did James Harden, but it went wrong. Like KD went to Golden State and then fell apart after that. Harden has never been able to collect a single ring despite all of this team building and league jumping and stuff. And he is, honestly, his individual resume, like he led the league in scoring 3 straight years. He finished top 2 in MVP voting 3 straight years. Many thought he should have had 2 of those 3 MVPs. He got 1 of them. Statistically, individually, Harden, one of the great guards in NBA history, but he's only going to be remembered for his playoff failures and choke jobs because he's never been able to get over the hump with some very, very talented teams. And other than that, Jason, secondarily, whether he ate himself out of a few NBA cities or donned a fat suit to get out of it, whichever way you want to call that one, he has thrown routinely teammates, general managers under the bus at every stop he's went. It always ends bad. It's never an amicable split. He typically goes in, fails, then throws everybody under the bus, demands where he goes, handpicks where he goes. That team acquiesces and helps him get to his exact destination, and then he fails again, repeat the process. So that, honestly, to me, is his legacy. That, and of course, he dropped $1 million in one single night at a strip club one time.
Which is amazing. That's really hard to do. And I've tried. But I'm sorry. I regret saying that. Finally, Scap, do you expect the Pistons to? Is this going to be a 7-game series, or you think the Pistons can? Any signs there last night the Pistons may be able to wrap this up in 5 or 6 games?
Yeah, I think the Pistons have breathed a sigh of relief. They were down by 24 points in Game 6 on the road at halftime, down 3-2 in a series against an 8 seed. Like the little heart monitor on them was flatlining, and then they explode out of the locker room for halftime, and then just never look back in the 4 quarters in Game 7 at home. And they just looked like they breathed a sigh of relief last night to have escaped that. They came out. Blew the Cavs out in the first quarter. I think it was 37-21, but credit to Cavs. They fought all the way back. It was 96-93 in the later stages of the fourth quarter. I think the Cavs will make this a series. I do not think they're out of it. I think Game 2 will tell a lot, but even still, I think this is a series where maybe the Pistons could go up 2, but the Cavs go get 2 in Cleveland, and then we have a best of 3 the rest of the way. So I think this could still be an intriguing series to come.
Thank you, Jay. Great job. All right, I wanted to get the NBA playoffs out of the way. I wanted to get some LeBron talk out of the way. We have a great rest of the show. We're going to go deep on Stefon Diggs and that trial. The Amber Turd trial is what I'm calling it. You remember Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp? Well, Mila Adams versus Stefon Diggs is the Amber Turd trial. We'll get into that at some point today. Next up, Steve Kim is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit about the college football coaches all agreeing that we need a 24-team playoff system, which really annoys me. We'll get into that. Bobby Bueckers got some new reporting on Stephen A. Smith and the Skip Bayless reunion and what that's really about. We'll get into that. I'm going to pleasure myself and the audience with some Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever conversation. They open up on Saturday against the Dallas Wings and Paige Bueckers. Maurice from Keep the Vision and Rhodes from Rhodes Rants and from the Black and White Sports Podcast is going to join us. We'll talk about the WNBA's push to replace Caitlin Clark with Paige Bueckers. We'll do that. We have a fantastic Harmony planned for you as well. That'll be on the Harmony channel around 11:20, 11:30 with Anthony and Virgil. We'll follow up on my conversation about Chud the Builder. So fantastic show. Give us that 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. It's important. It helps us fight the algorithm. The other thing you can do, and today I brought my cell phone into the studio, which I really don't like to do because it's a distraction for me. But anyway, sometimes I love to have my Patriot Mobile phone with me because I sincerely love this phone. I've had it for about 4 years now. It's been awesome. The service has been awesome. But more than anything, I love the fact that I'm supporting a company, a cellular service that supports my values and fights for my values. Patriot Mobile isn't just a cellular service. They're part of the conservative Christian movement. They share our values. Patriot Mobile offers prioritized premium access on all 3 major U.S. networks, giving you the same or better coverage than the main carriers. That means fast speeds and dependable nationwide coverage backed by a 100% U.S.-based customer support team. They also offer unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and more with simple, seamless activation. You can switch in minutes, keep your phone number, or upgrade. And here's the difference. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you'll be a part of a powerful stream of giving that directly funds Christian conservative values. Take a stand today. Go to patriotmobile.com/fearless or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code FEARLESS for a free month of service. Don't wait. That's patriotmobile.com/fearless or call 972-PATRIOT. When we come back, the Korean co-sell. Next.
People talk about the Bible. It's the living, breathing word of God. It does not change. It does change. That's not true. Because the person I am now and the person I was when I was 15 reading the scriptures, it's totally different. That scripture hits me in a totally different way.
Yeah, you change, not the word, though.
But it changes to me. It changes. For example, in Samuel, David and Goliath. The account of David and Goliath, right? It's an account, not a story. A story is something that can be made up. That account, he walks down the hill. Paul and Abner walk up to him. David still got Goliath's lid in his hand, right? Like he's carrying it around. And you hear that story, that the verses never meant anything to me at the end of it. He comes over and he's like, Saul goes, who's your dad? Who's your father? To me as a parent now, it's like, who raised that giant killer? That's what he's saying. I want to raise giant killers. That verse didn't hit me like that, right? Like it never struck me that way. So yeah, no, the Bible doesn't change, but its meaning to me is always, that's the importance of being in the Word all the time. Like we are always changing. We are always growing. We are learning. We are facing new things. Like you talk about a playbook, that's your playbook, man. Every situation that you're in, you've got your way out.
All right, welcome back. I want to start by playing a Joel Klatt comment about college football coaches. They had their gathering. They had a little vote. They're all pushing for a 24-team college football playoff and expansion. Joel Klatt says this is just them looking out for their own best interest. Remember how we used to say, we qualified for a bowl game, or we won a bowl game. Now everybody wants to say, hey, I made the playoffs, but let's hear from Joel Klatt.
If you actually talk with coaches now from either, and when I say either league, I'm meaning Big Ten and SEC, most, not all, but most would be in favor of a 24-team playoff. Why? Why, guys? Why all of a sudden is that to change?
Yeah.
It's about the definition of success. It's about the opportunity. You go way back into the history of college football. Now it feels like the way back machine. You know, you could say, well, we went to a bowl game, and coaches would keep jobs and get contracts based on the fact that they went to a bowl game. Now, all these coaches are like, 24 doesn't sound that bad, guys. Heck, 24 because why? It's preservation.
We qualified for the playoffs. I don't like this at all, Steve Kim. You're the college football junkie. I'm a bit. You're more of an junkie addict. Do you like this? That coaches are now pushing for the 24. It seems inevitable. We're going to 24 teams. The coaches are for it. It's going to happen. You like this?
Hate it. It's the worst. And some of these other measures that I've heard, I actually like. But all of it is ruined by the 2014 playoff. And what did I say about Thomas Sowell? One of my favorite sayings. There are no solutions, only trade-offs. And this right there, that 2014 playoff, is not a trade-off. It's capitulation. And unfortunately, what is going to happen is, in my view, it's not just the coaches wanting to say, hey, I made the playoffs. That should be job security for at least another 3 years. I think Joel Klatt is right on that. So let's get off that. But it's also, I know gerrymandering has been a big issue in America, right? This is a way for the Big Two, you know who they are, the SEC and the Big Ten, to basically stack about half of their conference in a playoff. Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to have about 7 to 9 teams in 2 leagues are going to play in the postseason. So, and the other thing is, I don't know if you're going to do a 24-team playoff. Is it even feasible to have that season end by mid-January? I want to see the format. Last year's national championship game, which took place January 19th. Did you know, Jason, this year's upcoming championship game takes place even later? So, again, I don't know how they're going to fit all of this in. Me, personally, if I was the commissioner, week 0 becomes week 1. I actually would not get rid of the championship games. I believe in conference title games, and whoever wins it, they get a number 1 seed, or they get placed at a certain level. And I would actually just keep the thing, maybe no more than 16 teams. But even then, there would be some issues with that. Again, I'm doing a trade-off, not a solution.
The other thing you're talking about, when it would be Big Ten and SEC teams stacked in there, you're raising the possibility of Oregon and Indiana played in the regular season, and they're going to do a rematch in the playoffs. And I find that boring. I felt no, Indiana proved during the regular season it was better than Oregon. I don't need them to play them again in the playoffs. So you're going to have some rematch scenarios. I think last season was kind of saved or elevated or looked shiny and great because Indiana was such a great story. Kirk Cignetti and Fernando Mendoza and everything they did at Indiana was such a great story. But when there is no great Indiana type story, man, I just don't know. I don't think college football can pull off a playoff system as well as the NFL does.
Jason, to your scenario, I've told you this before, with a conference championship game, there's actually a possibility of a team playing one another 3 times. Think about it. You got the regular season game, and if they're 1 and 2, they play in the conference title game. And if they both make the playoffs, they keep advancing, guess what? It could be a rubber match, something like that. And I thought the beauty of college football for years, Jason, you went through it. You got a team one time, and if it was your rival, you could live off that victory or wallow in that defeat for 365 days. A great story. In 1989, Florida State was number 1 across the board. They started off 0-2. They actually lost to Brett Favre and Southern Miss in the opening game. I remember watching that on TBS, and they lost to Clemson. So they're 0-2, but they kept winning. There was no playoffs, so they knew they were done. But they beat Miami, I think in November. They handed Miami their only loss, and they made these T-shirts. Miami, number 1 in the country, number 2 in Florida. And it still rankles. And that was part of the beauty. That was part of the charm. Now, think about this, Jason. I believe LSU in 2007 was the first national title team to have 2 losses. So basically, for 100 years or so, yet you could have been 1 loss and you basically had to be undefeated. We are now creating a system where there's going to be a 3 and 4 loss team national champion. It just doesn't feel right.
Steve, I want to move back to a conversation I think we had yesterday. My memory is getting fuzzy in my old age, but Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless are reuniting, and Bobby Burack keeps writing about it, and Awful Announcing has chimed in, and others like that. Stephen A., perhaps a bit desperate here. Perhaps he needs Skip Bayless more than he's letting on, because Shannon Sharp, according to Awful Announcing, is not under consideration to return to First Take. And Stephen A. has made it clear he'd love to have Shannon Sharp back. According to Awful Announcing, ESPN isn't even considering that. And according to Bobby Burack, and this is just factual, for a couple of years, Stephen A. Smith was adamant or pretty firm, no, the thing with me and Skip Bayless is over. That's not open. I don't want to, there's no reason to bring him back. They've done other reunions on podcasts or whatever. But this is more about Stephen A. being desperate because the Pat McAfee show is growing after his show, and Get Up with Mike Greenberg is growing before his show, and Stephen A.'s ratings are flat. This is a desperation move.
Jason, first of all, I want to say I think Bobby Burack is challenging your throne as the most hated guy from Stephen A. Smith.
No, he's not. But he's in the
Yes,
running.
he
I don't
is.
think he's challenging my throne, but
No. He's number 2, moving up like a rocket ship. Trust me. Good job, Bobby. A couple things. And I see this in boxing a lot, and I made the analogy yesterday. What do you do when you're desperate, when you don't have great fights? You lean back to nostalgia, right? So I compared it to Pacquiao and Mayweather. And I'm just wondering, why draw the line at Shannon Sharp? Is it purely the legal issues? But if Stephen A. Smith is the center of the universe, and I was thinking about this, what do they say about great head coaches? They create a tree where other coaches under their banner, under their helm, become great coaches themselves. So shouldn't Stephen A. Smith be creating more stars under his helm? Like, these guys appear with Stephen A. Smith, they become partners with them, they create their own brand, and then they say, okay, well, I'm so big now thanks to you, Stephen A., I can get out from under your shadow. But here's the thing. It seems like the opposite is happening over at ESPN with Stephen A. Smith. I'm beginning to think by next month they might be talking about doing sports reporters where you and Mike Lupica can be on the same set again.
Stephen A. would disagree with that. Like, he made Jamel Hill a star. He made, I don't know.
He did?
Yeah. Well, that's what he would say. I don't know. That's Kerry Champion, Molly Karam, you know.
Where are they right now?
Ryan Clark, Marcus Spears,
Okay.
Swagoo. You know, is that Marcus Spears? That's the same. Yeah, Marcus Spears. He's made them all stars. Rob Park. What didn't Rob Parker? I guess that was Skip Bayless. That was during the Skip Bayless deal. You know, so Stephen A. would say he's made a bunch of superstar broadcasters. You know, you're
counting Jamel Hill.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you who he would count.
Okay, I wouldn't count that. Okay.
All right, we're gonna stop there because I don't want to be accused of beating up Stephen A. Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, because you've never done that. Yeah, you would never stoop that low. Okay.
I don't. But more than anything, I want to move on, and we'll take a short break. I'll drink the rest of my AG1 here. But I want to talk about this Stefon Diggs trial because I think it's worse than the Amber Heard trial. We're calling it the Amber Turd trial with this Mila Adams. Steve's going to talk about it with me. Shamika's going to talk about it with me. Dr. Dre is going to talk about it with me. Give me a second. We'll be back. We'll talk about Stefon Diggs and Mila Adams in the Amber Turd trial. Next. LaMelo Ball, I haven't said this before today, but he's probably the NBA player that bothers me the most because of the way he's all tatted up from head to toe. He's made a spectacle of himself. He plays basketball in an immature way. Last night, he injured Bam Adebayo, tripped him up. Bam falls, misses the rest of the game. This is Miami's first or second best player that has to miss the rest of the game after, and again, it's hard to see here, but he yanks Bam's ankle, and there's video of him doing this earlier in the season to Bam Adebayo. The analogy I'm making, Steve Scap, is that LaMelo Ball is who everyone pretends Grayson Allen is and was. Grayson Allen was a very reviled player at Duke and early in his career in the NBA. He's supposed to be annoying. He's supposed to be a dirty player. And it's actually LaMelo Ball, but no one wants to talk about it or deal with it because he's African American. He's half black. He's LeVar Ball's kid. He's got that half black privilege. And so no one talks about it, but he ends up making a game-winning shot last night. You got to tip your hat to him for that.
These words are our religion, no regrets in our decisions. We all want to go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom.
Animal Farm is one of the greatest novels ever written. It's got life lessons for your kids. It's got life lessons for you. The novel is tremendous, and I have to salute Angel Studio for turning it into a movie. With striking animation and sharp, thought-provoking story, Animal Farm brings this timeless allegory to life for modern audiences, blending satire, heart, and humor. If you're looking for a movie that you and your entire family can enjoy, that will not violate your worldview, that will give you guys plenty to talk about afterwards, you need to go check out Animal Farm. It's in studios right now. It debuted, I believe, last Friday or May 1st, whatever day May 1st is. I can't do the math in my own head. But now it's everywhere in theaters. You have a chance to go see it. Go to angel.com/Animal Farms for tickets. You and your family will love it. All right, let me get into this Stefon Diggs conversation. Guys, give me 3 minutes to kind of set this up. But Stefon Diggs, the wide receiver for the Patriots, used to play for 2 or 3 different. Who did he start with? The Vikings? Yeah. Vikings. You say the Bengals? Bills. Vikings, Bills. I thought I heard Luke say the Bengals, but the Vikings, Bill, and he's played New England last year. He's got in trouble. He's been dating Cardi B. I think maybe got Cardi B pregnant, or he's a candidate for having gotten Cardi B pregnant among probably a dozen others. But anyway, Stefon Diggs got jammed up with some woman that he turned into his chef. I'm not sure what kind of chef she is, but he starts having sex with her at some point. I don't know if this is before she was his chef or whatever, but her name's Mila Adams. She's taken him to court claiming he strangled her and he assaulted her. There were 2 charges. If you followed this trial, you're sitting there like, how did Massachusetts ever bring this to court? What? And he's been found not guilty because the prosecution was an absolute joke. This woman, this accuser, was a joke. I want to play you a couple of highlight clips here we'll start with the prosecutor. After hearing in his closing argument and statement, he basically tells you, hey, look, Mila Adams is a nightmare and a disaster, but you can still convict Stefon Diggs. He takes a dump, and that's why we're calling her Amber Turd. This is the Amber Turd trial. The prosecutor dumps on her, the judge dumps on her, and Mila Adams dumps on herself. But let's start with SOT 4. Here's the prosecutor in summation talking about Mila Adams.
So, was Miss Adams a perfect witness? No. She was argumentative, avoidant, difficult. But does that mean you should throw away everything she says? She said? No. I think it'd be easy for you guys to do that, but that's not your job. You guys are the jury. It's your job, your sacred duty, to comb over every bit of evidence you heard, to consider it, to give it the attention it deserves. The attention, the scrutiny, the weight it deserves. You don't have to like Miss Adams. You don't have to like the way she testified today and yesterday, but you do have to give her and her testimony the attention it deserves.
If you have to say that in a closing argument about the victim, the accuser, this should have never been brought to trial. What are we doing here? Let's play the judge getting upset. This is SOT 6. Let's play the judge getting upset with Myla Adams about lying on the stand.
Messages was about money. Money he owed me for not finishing out the contract, and money he owed me that he said that he would invest in my business. So I took a lower pay because Stefon agreed
Honor,
that I will have chance to work on my business by working with
Miss
him.
Adams, there's no question in front of you right now. And again, please answer the questions put to you. It is not an opportunity for you just to vent with your story.
What are we doing here? Why did this ever get to trial? If the witness is this bad, if the accuser is this bad, if the accuser is caught on tape dancing after I was strangled, I was assaulted by Stefon Diggs, but here I am dancing. Let's play SOT 5. I have to say that fake BBL raises additional questions. What is Stefon Diggs doing? Multi-millionaire, has access to any and everybody. What are you doing with this woman with this fake BBL? With a horribly fake BBL? And look, maybe I'm one of the few people that just, fake rear ends don't do it for me at all. And, it's kind of a contradiction because I have always had an affinity for fake breast. I just don't. but fake BBLs, I don't get it. I mean, that's a bad look. What is Stefon Diggs doing? Amber Turd. Let me play you one more clip. I want to play SOT 8 with her fake crocodile tears. Play the clip.
And why did you delete those phrases when you provided those text messages to the Dedham police?
Because when I was abused in my previous relationship, when I would say things,
The objection is sustained.
he would.
The objection is sustained. There's no question there. Again, the jurors will disregard it. Sidebar.
The Amber Turd trial. How did this ever make it to court? This is, I told you all yesterday, I'm not going to talk about the Marcellus Wiley deal, these latest accusations. But when I look into what's going on here with Stefon Diggs, it makes me sympathetic towards Marcellus Wiley and all of these men that are being accused from years past allegations. Now, this is a recent deal. This isn't a years past deal, but this whole believe all women and the whole Me Too era and just the fact that Stefon Diggs had to spend money on this, that his reputation has been damaged on this. It's a joke. Let me bring back Steve Kim, bring in Shamika Michelle, Dre Baldwin. Shamika, I'm going to let you go ladies first. I don't know how deep you looked into this case, but I was going to say digged deep because I was going to try to use Stefon Diggs' name, but I did dig deep on this, and I feel sorry for Stefon Diggs. What do you think?
I feel sorry for him too. And actually, digging is what is the last thing he needs to do now. It's gotten him into a lot of trouble. I looked at this and I thought to myself, is this woman retarded? Like, I couldn't even believe that she had the audacity to come with some type of accusation and stand trial. Like, I would have been embarrassed. The fact that she had text messages that she showed to the police, then she deleted them, and then I just couldn't believe that a woman could be this delusional to have the audacity to even see this thing through. I'm shocked.
Steve Kim, I'm sure athletes around the NFL and the world are celebrating this verdict and this embarrassing deal because maybe they feel like it will give them some grace, or it's like, hey man, Shannon Sharp's probably celebrating. Who knows? But your thoughts?
Couple things. What do you mean? What Stefon Diggs is? Didn't he shack up with Cardi B? It's not like he has the highest standards here. The other thing, I think it's a lesson for all men. Men of value, men of means, men of money. Based on that dancing video, gentlemen, you better surveil your property and your residence like a bank. Protect yourselves at all times. Honestly, I thought that was damning video. Right there, yeah. And as for the BBL issue, I'm with you, Jason. Ladies, just hit the squat rack. Me and you are actually on the same eye on that, but this is all an offshoot. I think the Me Too and Believe All Women, that whole campaign is coming to an end. I think there's been certainly too many instances that if you delve deeper into the evidence and these things go to trial and testimony, the stories fall apart. It's clear to me that that lady, she was a chef that did not want to be a side piece. I think she really caught feelings when she was not the main course.
I disagree with you, or don't think just putting surveillance equipment in your house is the ultimate solution or the best solution. Some discretion, some discernment, some restraint, some discipline.
No, Jason, you're right. Look, when you ride a bike and you put a lock on it, it's not going to keep it from being stolen. If someone wants to steal it, it'll get stolen from. But you still lock your doors at night. You still lock your car doors when you go into a parking lot. Again, I just think it is a preventative measure. It's just one of them, but it is not necessarily the whole solution. I agree with you on that.
Dre, what's the message here? What's the lesson from this? Dre, you got to unmute yourself. There we go. Yeah, unmute yourself. No, still can't hear Dre. Fix that, and I'm going to turn to Shamika. Shamika, what's the lesson here?
I agree with you. You have to have some discipline and you just need to be smarter than that. I was having this conversation and I'm thinking if he had $2,000 to throw around a week for a chef, he didn't have an aunt that can cook really well, a cousin who he could have brought in. Like, why would you bring a woman shaped like this if you know that you don't have the discipline? With a fake BBL or whatever. Clearly he likes that because he was with Cardi B. He loves fake behinds. Everything about Cardi is fake. So if you don't have the discipline, there are other options. So I do think this is a lesson for men to just think wiser, be wiser. This is what I like about you. I literally was thinking, and I know you're not talking about Marcellus Wiley, but I was thinking to myself, I don't think Jason would ever have to worry about this because you do carry yourself with a lot of discipline. I think you're wise. And for the people who hate listening to you, I think they would learn something from listening to you and they wouldn't have to face these types of foolish accusations.
Well, the reality, Shamik, is, did you say he was paying her $2,000 a week?
That's what I saw, $2,000 a week to chef.
And so he's not paying her for, they're calling her a chef. She's accepting the title of chef to cover herself and to cover him. This was an arrangement. This was a $2,000 booty call that he had on call at all times, and maybe when they were done, maybe she did cook him a meal, or before cooked him a meal or whatever. But this isn't a chef. This is, it is what it is. It's prostitution, and and then she turned that arrangement into an accusation. And again, this is where like the prosecutor, who looked like an overweight Tim Pool with no hat, but the prosecutor has no discernment, no street smarts, no nothing. That like, hey, you can't. If Jason Whitlock can sit here in Nashville and say, hey man, this is a sexual arrangement, $2,000 a week, blah blah blah. He doesn't have the discernment to see that and call it for what it is and say, we're not bringing these charges. I don't understand, again, how the state of Massachusetts ever brought these charges. Is this some sort of a psyop?
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's a psyop or if I just think this attorney was really hoping that he was going to get a big payday, because maybe
No.
he's
This
just
is
not
criminal
smart.
charges. These are criminal charges. It ain't about a payday.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be. So I don't know, Jason. I don't know. When I saw this, I literally I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Maybe, I don't know, Jason. This was the worst thing that I've ever seen. And I like the whole idea of Amber Turd, because nothing else makes sense. I could not make sense of this. Even the lady's testimony, the times when she said, I don't know how to answer this question. I thought she needed to be the one in the wheelchair at the Met Gala. Because clearly
Dre,
slow.
Dre, I think your microphone is fixed.
You know now?
What's your
You hear me?
takeaway? Yes, we got you now. What's your takeaway?
We just got to look at what's actually happening here. First of all, a high-profile man can't afford a low-structure situation, which alludes to what Shamika was just saying, referring to you, Jason. And when it comes to the criminal case, first of all, it looks like the county in Massachusetts looked at this as a big fish type of deal. If we can get a charge on Stefon Diggs, then the prosecutor can move up in his career. That's the way the legal system works. You hook big fish, you move up in your career. But this ended up being a loser of a case for them. That cost taxpayers money. It also cost Mr. Diggs a lot of money in paying his attorney for this defense case, because he was facing years here. That's a lot of money out of his pocket for this. Now, as far as what I looked into in the case is that the two of them, Diggs and Miss Adams, connected in 2022 via Instagram. So this is probably a DM situation. She didn't become, the professional arrangement didn't start till February of 2025. So it looks like this might have been just a sexual type of thing. And as you said, come into the house, move into the house. She cooks for him. It was $2,000 a week. So let's say $100,000 a year. And she would prepare meals for him. And sometimes even for his live-in girlfriend. So I guess this was an arrangement that she was all right with. Sometimes it's going to be another woman here ahead of you on the totem pole, but I have access to you when I want to. As far as that dancing video, I do have to mention, Jason, you mentioned the BBL, which I guess was obvious on video. Well, BBL stands for Brazilian butt lift. So if you come down to Miami, which is the gateway to the Caribbean and South America, the BBLs are harder to detect by the eye test, I will say. And she got a Massachusetts BBL. So that's the reason probably why you can point it out. Now, overall with Stefon Diggs, this guy, as far as I read, he has 6 or 7 kids by 5 or 6 different women. So he may have very little, or I don't know if we can even say the word may, very little sexual discipline as far as what he's doing. And this comes up again, this high value conversation about men. And I want to make sure people understand this clearly. Having a lot of money does not make you high value. Having a lot of money and being known makes you high profile. Those are two different things. Stefon Diggs has a high profile. He may not necessarily have high value because he was having sex and moved this woman into his home. High value men don't do things like that. He's high profile, so he's very well known. He does not have access to every woman because there are women who would never agree to that arrangement. There are women who would not do what this woman did, who would not touch Stefon Diggs because he has 5 babies by 5 different women. And these are the type of women who he goes for. There are levels to this on the woman's side and on the man's side. So I want to make sure we don't throw that high value term into the mud too much when we're talking about athletes and entertainers.
Steve, since Dre has brought the high value conversation in, I wonder how you would speculate how Kevin Samuels would evaluate this situation.
Oh, he's one of the first guys I thought of, to be honest with you. And I agree with everything that Dre said. I think one of the issues why this thing, talking about him being an easy target, if you Google Stefon Diggs, I believe half the stories are about stuff that has nothing to do with football, right? We all know about his exploits and his lack of discipline. So I think we have to be honest about it. When we first heard about this at the surface level, based on what we know and what we perceive about Diggs, we all felt like, oh yeah, he would do something like this, right? I mean, we all have perceptions, and sometimes your reputation precedes you. And if it was like the version of the NFL version of AC Green, we'd be like, no. And even the prosecution would say, no, we can't go after this guy. He's too clean. He made himself a target through past actions, whether that is fair or not. But as for Kevin Samuels, I don't think he'd be rolling over in his grave. I think he's chuckling because a lot of the lessons that he tried to teach men, whether they are truly high value or not, maybe they're just high profile, he had talked about having a level of discernment, which is absolutely vital.
Question there for you, Jason, that Kevin Samuels will talk about athletes and entertainers, and he said he didn't include them in high value because part of being high value is utility. Can you have a conversation with someone who's not going to be an athlete or entertainer and add something to the conversation with your professional knowledge? And a basketball or football player has nothing to offer because that's all they've been doing since they got out of college. So you can't be high value with no utility to the group.
I think what Stefon Diggs set up is more commonplace than I think people care to know or are aware of. When you give young people who so much money, who love going to strip clubs, who love hip hop culture, and so I want everybody to hear me clear on this. I used to be one of these idiots. Loved going to strip clubs, loved hip hop culture, while even critical of it, but still loved it. If you give them millions of dollars and the money they made feels like monopoly money, this is going to be the result. And this is now commonplace among professional athletes. And I'm not just talking about black athletes. I'm talking about men with lots and lots of money. I had a Hall of Fame athlete, big, high-profile Hall of Fame athlete, tell me several years ago, like, man, you wouldn't believe how many of these NBA and NFL owners and billionaires, you wouldn't believe how many of them own people that and he's talking about right here in America, that they own people. And he goes, if you understood how these, and I think it was in reference to Donald Sterling, and that's what kind of drove or was the foundation of the conversation. And so the athletes who have access to these owners and see like what the owners are doing, and they think, well, and they think of themselves as miniature or the next iteration. You know, their 20 million is the same as an owner's 2 billion or 3 billion. And they're seeing the owners like that they own sex slaves. And I'm just telling you, this is a credible, high-profile athlete with an amazing resume that was telling me this. And that's what you're seeing the athletes mimic. I don't understand why. I'm just really difficult for me to understand why this prosecutor in Massachusetts, why they allowed this to happen, because it's so obvious what's going on here. Bunch of discretionary money. He's paying her for her sexual services. He's dating women that are allowing him to pay her for her sexual services, and three-way sex, I would imagine, or four-way or whatever. When you hear like Magic Johnson, this was like in the 90s when he was talking about, yeah, I slept with 4 and 5 women at a time. You think that all went away with the money that these guys are making now? that everybody's not running their version of P. Diddy's lifestyle, a heterosexual version of that, or a bisexual version of that. These athletes that we put on a pedestal and we just keep pouring more and more money into young people that don't have the discipline, and we've got a culture that just promotes sexual promiscuity, and that's the definition of masculinity. How many different women have you betted? It's not hard to make sense of this. Shamika, you got a reaction to that?
No, I agree with you. I actually just saw here in my city a couple of athletes who aren't no name, nobody knows them. They aren't making a lot of money. They have multiple girlfriends and they're now posting this all over social media. It's the thing to do. Goes back to when we were talking last week when we were saying a lot of these athletes or entertainers have more influence than they should, because you see these regular people thinking, okay, I'm a little bit popular on Facebook or whatever, I can do the exact same thing. And I'm seeing it right here in my city with people. I can't even tell you the names, but I'm seeing multiple people now posting multiple women. We're in a relationship. We're doing this and we're doing that. And it's just downhill from there.
Dre, you got a reaction to that? What I
So
said
which
or
part?
Shamika?
Yeah, so it looks like Stefon Diggs was, again, he was trying to, I think, get out of this. Maybe she was trying to take it to a lawsuit first, because he did offer her money. He offered $100,000 to recant, and those talks failed, and that's why this ends up in criminal court. I don't know why she didn't just take it to civil court and just try to get some money out of him. Maybe she still will, but I don't know why it went that way.
Well, I'm sure she felt like she had enough leverage over him to embarrass him, and she was probably looking for $1 million, I would imagine, or $500,000. He's like, man, you ain't worth that.
Yeah.
And
It says the attorney asked for $5.5 million, according to what I read, and he said no to that. He offered $100,000. She didn't take the $100,000, so we end up in criminal court. But even if he had gotten convicted, what did she get out of that? I guess that would have created momentum for the lawsuit. But what was the point of taking it to criminal court?
yeah, you're right. That is, they used the criminal complaint to drive the civil complaint. I
Right.
think this has gone so embarrassing that she's undermined any sort of civil complaint, and she's done here. Now I bet you she's cost Stefon Diggs $300,000-$400,000 in lawyers' fees, but she ain't getting none of that, and he gets to run around like he's a victim, and I'm sure he's already signed a new contract with his next sex slave, or or written extensions for his additional sex slaves. Steve, I'm gonna give you the final thought on this, and I'm gonna let you guys go.
Yeah, I hate to be so cynical about this. When I hear these public cases now, I'm very skeptical. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily disbelieving, but I need to actually see some evidence play out. But I also, in terms of why would Stefon Diggs get into this, there is a belief that you attract to your level, whether it's financial, moral, ethical, societal, culturally. And it's not even really just based on race or any religion. It's just like you attract to your level, the mentality. And so we really should not be surprised based on the track records. I'm not making a judgment on Stefon Diggs, but again, what has happened in terms of who we chose and what he did, for better or worse, it is par for the course for him.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna have a final thought on this without you guys, and then we'll talk a little WNBA here with Rhodes Rants and Keep the Vision Maurice. But we have to be more disciplined as men. And I know some of you are thinking, hey, this is a big win for Stefon Diggs and for athletes and for men, blah, blah, blah. It's not. Stefon Diggs is just as clownish as this woman. And if we're ever going to fix this society, men are going to have to make some serious sacrifices and demonstrate some serious sexual discipline. Because if you think that these women are going to quit trying to take advantage of our lack of sexual discipline, and they're going to, if you think they're going to stop trying to leverage, blackmail, sue men. It's not going to happen. We're playing into their hands. And this is not to say that woman is our enemy. She's not. But if we don't have any sexual discipline, if we don't have any discernment, if we don't have any maturity, if we don't have any holiness, she is going to drive us into more unrighteous behavior and going to drive us into a more chaotic society. These things are all, our lack of sexual discipline, our lack of sexual sacrifice is directly connected to this chaotic society that we have here in America. And so when you hear me say, and again, people always think I'm just wagging my finger and Whitlock's a scold. I'm telling you what I know from experience. I'm telling you what I know from my own life. I'm telling you why I had to flee California. Because that could have been me. Thank God that, I got humbled enough and righteous enough to flee. And it is difficult to change, but it is possible. And if we ever want a more healthy, safe environment for kids, if we ever want to reduce the chaos, men are going to have to become more disciplined and more worthy of leadership, more capable of being leaders. As long as we're sexually compromised, as long as we're sexually immoral, as long as women can use their private part to control us and to trap us into stupid behavior, we're going to continue to have a very chaotic, immoral, degenerate society. All right, when I come back, I'm going to switch up, talk about the WNBA and what they're doing to Caitlin Clark. We'll do it with Maurice from Keep the Vision and Rhodes Rant from Black and White Sports. Next. The dumbest of the Three Stooges is clearly Shiloh Sanders. You remember Shiloh Sanders, the guy that beat up a security guard in high school, got sued, has cost himself a lot of money. The guy that got an undrafted free agent contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and threw a punch in a game and got ejected. Yeah, that guy. Well, he's at it again. He's picking fights and causing problems for his brother attacking Mary Kay Cabot, the reporter who covers the Cleveland Browns. It's not smart. It's just an attention grab for Shiloh. It in no way helps Shedeur. In fact, it just increases the circus around Shedeur. It causes a problem for Dion. Dion's gonna have to answer questions about Shiloh attacking a female reporter who reported that Deshaun Watson seems to have the pole position to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Shiloh thinks Shedeur should be the starting quarterback, and so he attacked Mary Kay Cabot by telling her to fix him a sandwich.
Making me a sandwich!
Let me tell you what's even more shocking. Let's add a fourth Sanders brother to this cast. Coach Jason Brown. JB trying to join the Sanders clan in stupidity. JB is caping up and wearing a Superman cape for Shiloh. He had Shiloh on his show and kissed Shiloh's butt and celebrated Shiloh for causing these problems for Shedeur. This is crazy.
As the WNBA turns, starring Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson. Brought to you by George Soros, Adam Silver, Kathy Engelbert, and the Global Elite.
Could we put up the chart of the WNBA GM voting results where, Caitlin Clark is no longer the best point guard in the league? What is it? Alicia Gray is. There's all of these little pot shots being taken at Caitlin Clark. Who's the best passer in the NBA? It's Chelsea Gray, someone no one's really ever heard of. Caitlin Clark, 7% of the vote. It's the WNBA just hates the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. Which team will be the most fun to watch? Holy cow, this is the easiest question to be asked. It's like, who's the fattest person on Fearless? So, is it Luke? Is it Peyton? Is it Justin? I mean, the most fun to watch? Wouldn't it be the team that's you got to move to a new arena or stadium to get all the people that want to come see her play? But no, it's the Dallas Wings. It's Paige Bueckers' team. If you were starting a franchise today and you could sign any player, Paige Bueckers tops Caitlin Clark, 33% to 20%. This is insanity what the WNBA has been doing to try to diminish Caitlin Clark, and we're starting to see the results of that in Indiana, where they can't fill up the arena right now for the season opener. They're not selling it out. This thing sold out in less than an hour or two 2 years ago, in less than an hour or two 2 years or last year. Now we're 3 days away, and they're still hawking tickets. I believe they have succeeded in undermining and undercutting Caitlin Clark's stardom. It's driving me crazy. I know these two guys. Rhodes, wave your hand just so the audience knows who I'm talking about. Black and White Sports. Obviously, the audience is familiar with Maurice from Keep the Vision. Comes on all the time. Maurice, I'm going to give Rhodes here the first crack here as our initial appearance here. This is the craziest thing, the self-sabotage that the Indiana Fever and the WNBA are doing to themselves, all in the name of we can't let Caitlin Clark be the face of this league. This is insanity.
Well, the most important thing to this league is what? Agenda. The agenda is thick in this league. And the agenda is, let's make sure that the white straight girl is not the face of this league. Plain and simple. That is part of their agenda. You notice who they're trying to prop up here. Paige Bueckers. Well, we know Paige Bueckers checks a lot of those boxes, right? Yeah, she's not quite the Brittany Griner hat trick. In other words, she's not black, but she's white. She's gay, and she's got a black girlfriend. Well, that's close enough. We'll try to elevate her. Now, if you take that and combine it with the fact that you hired a groomer head coach, I said that out loud. A groomer coach. All right, we all remember Stephanie White came into this league. She was what? Straight. Oh, okay. Now we got you. We have an injury last year. Yeah, that wasn't great, but it was how the Indiana Fever handled that injury that is in part leading to what you're seeing with the ticket sales, combined with Stephanie White trying to elevate her favorite player, which is Kelsey Mitchell. And I love Kelsey Mitchell. I think she's arguably the most dynamic scorer in the WNBA. But she's not the all-around player Caitlin Clark is. She's not. Caitlin Clark drives that ship, or should. Stephanie White's going to try to get her to play off ball. Fans are recognizing all of this. The Indiana Fever led the fandom down the road of believing that Caitlin Clark was coming back at any time last year. They labeled her injury day to day. Well, now in other sports, and I cover football and a lot of different sports, when you say day to day, it usually means a return is imminent. Well, about 6 weeks goes by, all of a sudden we find out there's a phantom ankle injury nobody knows about. And all the while, I've got fans sending me messages saying, I bought a ticket in June. I had to cancel my trip. I lost money. I bought another ticket at the end of August because we believed she was coming back. Family vacations were being ruined. And fans very much took a note. The fandom feels like they've been lied to, okay? On top of the fact that hey, Stephanie White knows that if I try to put all this under the umbrella of we're going to play as a team, we're going to emphasize ball movement, all this. By the way, if you move the ball around, it gets in somebody else's hands. Caitlin Clark never sees it again. Let's just be real. How many times have we seen her sitting in the corner, wait for the pass? Or she rotates around, forget about it. Forget about it. That ball's not coming back to her. That ball will go somewhere and die before it gets back to Caitlin Clark. Fans took note of all this. They're not running out to buy those tickets. They feel betrayed right now. And, of course, this GM survey comes out. Are you kidding me? Chelsea Gray? You're talking about a coffee table with two legs? Who is she putting in the stands right now? Every statistical category that there is, Caitlin Clark dominates her. Like, Caitlin Clark averages like 16.5 points a game, nearly 9 assists, nearly 6 rebounds. Chelsea Gray's down here at 11 points a game, 5 assists and 3 boards. Shut up. You got to be joking. No wonder nobody's buying tickets. I mean, there's 1,800 tickets left right now to a game that was gone last year and the year before last, nearly instantly. Whoa. Sorry,
You're
Jason. I came on
we're
your
listening to
show and
Fearless
took
with
over.
Rhodes rants. I think you were prepped by Scap or Delano.
No,
but
negative.
Rhodes, it was great.
Hey, rants is in the name. All right. So
now we know. Maurice, you want to pop in here?
I think it's ridiculous. We don't see this in any other professional league where they refuse to lean into the biggest star. The NBA leans into their stars. They lean into Michael Jordan. Whoever the hottest star is in the moment, they go all in. You've seen the NFL lean into Patrick Mahomes. They lean into Josh Allen. They lean in. This is the first league where I've seen the higher-ups make the decision of, we don't want anything to do with the biggest star. And as far as I agree with what Rhodes was saying, the fans were lied to. They were scammed last season. You guys told people that this girl was day-to-day for months on end. And I don't blame them for not purchasing tickets. We have Stephanie White on record saying, oh, well, we want to play her off ball. We want her to, there's a clip going around right now of Sophie Cunningham saying how the Indiana Fever's offense is built to get, it is catered around Kelsey Mitchell and all of this stuff. Okay, well, if you want to cater it around Kelsey Mitchell, you sell the damn tickets around Kelsey Mitchell and stop trying to use the Caitlin Clark fans to continue to make money and fatten your pockets if you're not going to give them the product that they are paying for. People have wisened up. They see what's going on and they're not going for it. When it comes to the GM survey, I think a lot of the GMs, this is a cop-out because, Jason, as you've said, people weren't paying a lot of attention to the league until Caitlin Clark showed up with all of her fans. And this is the first time I feel the front office is being held accountable. Nobody cared before. Paige Bueckers won 10 out of 44 games last year. Nobody cared. Nobody talked about it. There's no pressure for her to win anything or to do anything. Caitlin Clark's team was 1 win away from the WNBA finals, and we still don't feel like Stephanie White is the coach for her. It's a different level of pressure and expectation that comes when you have that big of a star. And a lot of the GMs, they want to continue to go on and cash checks with no pressure, no expectation, and just continue to make money with no real responsibility or pressure from the fans because Caitlin Clark brings a microscope and expectation.
Rhodes, I'm coming back to you. I want you to tighten up this time, though, just because I got other things I need to accomplish today. But, I hopped on your Twitter page, and Maurice, I want you to respond to this too, but I hopped on your Twitter page, I think, yesterday because people were talking about, and by the way, what both of you all make sure we say your Twitter handle so people know how to follow you. We should have gathered that information, put it on screen. We will do that next time. But Rhodes, I want to talk about yesterday. I think you were in a discussion about where I jumped in and said, I think Caitlin Clark's attitude has been undermined and she doesn't want to be the leader of the team anymore because they've basically brainwashed her and brainwashed the team into, hey, we're better if Kelsey Mitchell's the leader or if Aaliyah Boston is the leader. And so Caitlin Clark has been bullied into coming out of her natural personality and thinking, hey, I'm just one of 5 here on the court or one of 12 here on the team. And that's a monumental mistake financially. And I think over the course of time, you're going to see it's a monumental mistake in terms of on-court play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think her age plays a little bit of a role in that. I'm hoping she becomes more vocal the longer she's in the league to her coach, to her team, most importantly to that front office. Look, that CBA is not worth anything if this is not the number one star in the league. If this is not the star that they elevate, that CBA becomes two-ply. Those media networks are going to be furious. I mean, they're trying to elevate Paige Bueckers, and she can't even sell out her own small arena in Dallas right now. But Caitlin Clark's going to have to get in the ear of her agents. She's going to, I'm serious.
I agree.
If she ever does, she's going to have to get in the ear of her agents. They had a monster opportunity this offseason. Sandy Brondello became available when she got fired from the Liberty. She had just coached that team to a championship 2 years ago. She adored Caitlin Clark. She was used to working with stars, Breonna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones. This franchise doesn't know how to deal with stars. They need NBA people in there is what they really need, considering the stardom.
You're beating around the bush. They need a man in there. Yeah. They need a man in there.
I suggested they should have hired Mark Jackson, but that was, because of his Indiana ties, et cetera, and his relation back to coaching the Warriors. But anyway, I mean, I don't know. At some point, I hope she gets angry and pushes back. We'll have to see. I think
she's been bullied and punked. I'm not sure if she's going to recover from this.
I think the Caitlin Clark is moving like she's been brainwashed. I mean, I said it yesterday. I feel like Stephanie White, and also to what Rhodes said, I think this is the first time where Caitlin has had to kind of fight back on her own. At Iowa, Lisa Bluter handed her the keys and built the program around her right away. When she was in high school, the program was built around her right away. And now you see all of these obstacles. And I don't think that she's had the experience to know when or how to push back, but the time is of the essence. Okay. And it's ticking. The ticket sales aren't moving like they were. The preseason ratings aren't as high as they were. And she has to take control of her career in this situation. The league does not have your back. This is my message to Caitlin Clark. The league doesn't have your back. The Indiana Fever doesn't have your back. We've watched the other league GMs and owners get mad when she was on sports covers by herself, and they said, oh, well, all of the players should have been on it. All of them should have been. This is the most we all need to achieve this together league that I've ever seen in my life. I think it's disgusting. And at some point, she's going to have to take control of the situation and say, hey, either you're going to do this thing the right way around me, or I'm going to go elsewhere. It has to happen at some point.
Only way that happens, guys, is if she gets a male agent. Again, you get these women, feminist agents, and they kind of halfway agree with the WNBA that this should be about everybody. And they believe in all the Marxist agenda. They believe in all the diversity, equity, and inclusion. They believe in all the garbage that the WNBA is spewing. If you had a man in there was like, no, my player drives the ratings. We're built. If Nike were doing its job and exercising its leverage and influence, like, you're ruining the thing that could save Nike. Nike's going in the tank. And again, it's like Nike's caught up in this feminist, leftist, equity, the whole deal. Instead of doing what's in their best interest, they should have been pressuring the WNBA, the Indiana Fever. Like, you're killing the golden goose that could be selling our shoes and driving this league.
Jason, and not to cut you off, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that we are in year 3 of Caitlin Clark and she's still wearing PEs of Kobe Bryant. They look great. The Caitlin Clark shoe should have been out before game 1 of her rookie year. They would have sold more than any shoe that's come out in probably the last 20 since Michael Jordan. Okay. There's no reason that we are in year 3 and there's still no Caitlin Clark shoe out. It's from all angles. It's Nike. It's the WNBA. It's the Indiana Fever. She's getting it from all angles, guys.
Rhodes, I'm going to give you the final say, and I'm going to let you guys go. I think it's an indication. The lack of her having a shoe, it's an indication they never planned on her ascending to the throne of the WNBA, that from the get-go, they knew they were going to destroy Caitlin Clark, replace her with Paige Bueckers, and if not Paige Bueckers, hopefully Juju Watkins. Rhodes, you got the final thought.
Yeah, number one, the league wasn't prepared for her arrival. But number two, it goes back to what we started with, agenda. They never wanted to elevate her to begin with because she brought in fans from the South, fans from the Midwest, fans that she's bringing in the regular sports fans that, guess what? We don't want to watch identity politics in our sport, and we don't feel like that's a positive in our sport. Well, we don't need her as the face of the league. We don't want her as the face of the league. And I'm going to be real. Her coach is complicit in all of this. Let's not get confused. Stephanie White is as guilty as anybody.
Yep.
Right? I mean, hey, Lisa Salters is her. We just saw with Raven Johnson fawning on. I mean, it was embarrassing. I was like, this is why nobody takes this welfare league seriously. Because of this right here in front of our face. Sports fans don't want to see that.
Rhodes, you know, I got a new nickname for you after this. Anyone ever called you Kris Kringle? When your cheeks get a little red and rosy and you get animated, you kind of remind me of Kris Kringle, or Santa Claus, for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about.
Well, hey, in Texas, they just call me a redneck. Okay, I'm just a redneck here. All right, I blend in with everybody here. All right, no problems. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you guys. Thanks
for having me on.
Go. Appreciate it. We will do it again. You guys know I love to talk to WNBA. I'm a tiny bit behind schedule, but give me 2 minutes. We'll be on the Harmony channel with Anthony and Virgil talking about the conversation we had yesterday about Chud the Builder and free speech and the N-word and DJ Academics. Thank you for watching us today here on Fearless. I'll be on Harmony in just 2 short minutes. We'll see you tomorrow.